I think once we were on our way, I realised that actually all the planning was coming together and it was all going to work. I think, and then after that it was just excitement, because we had 3 days of travelling to get to Hoga Island, and every time we moved on we went to more and more remote places, and it got more and more exciting until we finally reached Hoga Island, which is just a tiny little island in the middle of southeast Sulawesi.
Hoga's a small island in the Sulawesi National Marine Park in Indonesia, which is the largest marine park in Indonesia. There's a research centre on Hoga run by Operation Wallacea, who are a conservation outfit that do trips basically all around the world and have bases set up all around the world. Our day started at around 6-ish. Our first dive was at 7:30, and that was on the boats, heading to the dive site at 7:30. So you were getting up at 6, kitting up and things like that, making sure everything was ready and in the boat, and then tootling off for the dive. And then our second dives of the day were at 11:30 and 3:30 with the next 2 dives. Basically, the first dive of the day, the 7:30 one, was a recreational dive, where we went down, had a look at the sites, did some fish identification, just to kind of keep us on our toes. Then the second 2 dives of the day were basically our work dives. So for the first week we were doing, as I said before, we were doing these underwater survey techniques. And then for the second week we were doing a project that had been devised by one of the students.
During the working day, which started once they got back from the recreational dive, they had 2 scientific dives to do every day. Each dive was an hour long and required maybe 2 or 3 hours planning before they went for the dive. And then in the evening there was all the data analysis to do and the preparation for the following day's diving. The students found it hard work, and they did work really hard.
I mean, we weren't getting to bed until 11:30 at night, getting up again at 6, and doing 3 dives a day, which seriously takes it out of you. I mean, people say, oh yeah, diving's easy, but I mean, even just kitting up and taking the kit off at the beginning and the end of dive, when you've done it 3 times, and you're lugging all your equipment around, it does take it out of you.
Doing underwater surveying is about 10 times as hard as doing the same technique on the surface. Divers can't talk to each other easily. They have to communicate with hand signals. Everything needs to be planned before they go under the water. Everything needs to be completely choreographed before they go under the water, so they're absolutely sure exactly how they're going to lay out the reel underwater, how they're going to weight it down, what measurements they're going to make and what recordings they're going to make, and all of that has to be meticulously planned before they go under the water.
In order to do it properly, you have to go out and do it, and I think that's basically what I took away from this trip. Was I can now say that I could go somewhere like that and I'd be able to do these techniques, without anybody holding my hand or kind of guiding me through it.
Field trips are extremely important for our students, because it makes all the information that they've learnt, possibly in quite a dry environment in the lectures, come to life, and they realise that all the different phyla and the different animals and the different interactions that they've learnt about in laboratory and in the lecture environment actually happen in the field for real as well. So they start to draw on the theoretical knowledge they have as they look and see for real exactly what's going on in the marine environment. Everything they'd learnt about just came for real for them, and their eyes just widened and widened every time they went down for a dive and learnt more as they went along.
I'd never done that before, and just to be out there kind of doing the things that you see wildlife photographers and kind of David Attenborough and people like that going and seeing, it was just amazing.